For the next ANC president, Human Settlements Minister Lindiwe Sisulu is one of the candidates in the run-up to the ANC elective conference. She joins us now on her visions for the party. Good evening, Sisulu, and thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Well, in today's news, if we may start there, your organization has just lost a woman who dared to speak her mind. Some of your comrades saying good riddance. Others, of course, mourning her loss. What do you stand?
Well, I've expressed myself on Makosi, and I regret that I did not get to sit down with her before she took this decision. I think everybody that we lose from the ANC suffers a loss. I remain very deeply concerned about what it is that would have driven her out of the organization. But remain determined that even Makosi one day will come back to the ANC.
Given what she had to face, do you think she was justified, or at least understandable, why she left?
Well, I think that Makosi has a right to make up her mind about what she wants to do. She did indicate that she wanted to protect herself and her children, and that makes sense to me. But my determination is to make sure that anybody else in her position or anybody else who's disaffected with us comes back to us. We are a home from which they have left, and we've got to make sure that we bring them back. That's the only way that we can continue to lead. That's the only way we will continue to be able to deliver to our people.
Now, 2 days ago, in Cape Town, you were speaking to students.
Yes.
When you spoke about why you accepted the invitation to stand for ANC president, you said you wanted to be, and I quote, counted among those who return to the true values of the ANC. Now, here's a woman who tried. What hope do you have that you will be able to succeed?
Because I will not back off. So a comparison between me and Makosi is not relevant to the fact right now. I will not back off. I would like to return the ANC to its true values, and that's what I stand for, and that's what I'm going to do. And when it is back to its true values, I'd like to go out on a campaign and get all those disaffected people, whether they left because they were angry at a particular time or left for valid reasons. We've got to make sure that they feel home in the ANC. But this is a home for all the people that struggled. This is the home for all the people who have been oppressed. This is a home for all South Africans, because when we wrote the Freedom Charter, we determined that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. Similarly, the ANC belongs to all of those who value freedom, all of those who value integrity, all of those who value all of those things that the ANC stands for.
But the more, people make the proclamation that you are making, the further away it would seem your organization drifts away from those values. No, but
if the organization is drifting further away from those values, why would I still be here? There are many people like me. They might not be the loudest mouths, but there are many people like me. There are many people who are very genuinely true ANC members who want to make sure that we can restore the honor and dignity of this organization. And I think that we've seen a lot of bashing of the ANC, whether rightly or wrongly. We would like now to find a way of making sure that we can restore people's faith and trust in us. It's the only way that we're going to be able to win the 2019 election. And where Makosi failed, I will pick up, or whatever Makosi has left for, I will have to sort out. It should not happen to another person at all.
Well, when the ANC was asked to respond to her leaving the party, Zizi Godwa retorted that she was a coward. And when Kathy asked her a short while ago, her answer was, I stood in front of the NEC and actually objected to what I believe President Jacob Zuma was doing to our party. What did Lindiwe Sisulu do to prove to South Africans that you have indeed been on the right side of history? You have been standing up against the wrongs that are being committed in the name of the ANC.
Okay. A few minutes ago, you read from my speech. I think similarly you would need to read up on what it is I've been saying all along, because I don't want to come and sit here and almost on a campaign trail. And we call them campaigns because it's the only way that we can describe them. But actually what it is standing up to say, I would like to be one of those people who can, when called upon, will be able to return the ANC to its true values, its true compass, and that's what I'm doing. But if I'm now to say this is what I did, it is very untraditional of the ANC to do that, if you will allow me to say that. But I can tell you what it is that I want us to do going forward, and that's what I'd like us to get on to, if it's possible.
Which I'll get to, Minister, in a short while. But I'm sure you do understand or accept that leaders are judged as much by the things they do as they are judged by the things that they don't do. Let's take an example. Use the Gupta leaks as an example. Here you have a private sector that, and I'm not saying they are heroes or they have done everything that they could do. At the very least, you had audit firms that stood up and said, we don't want these partners who have been involved in this wrongdoing. Some preliminary investigations were done, and they went public and said the things that we know they have been saying over the past few days. Compare or contrast that with what the government has been doing, where ministers are in fact implicated, but nothing has happened so far. So what would Lindiwe Sisulu have done were you the ANC president a few months ago when these revelations started coming?
Okay. You know, at the policy conference, I had the same question put to me, and I indicated then that we in the ANC have the necessary instruments to deal with matters of this nature. We have a disciplinary committee. And that disciplinary committee has a responsibility to investigate and look into anybody's behavior that we might feel has put the ANC into disrepute. And I've been calling for this every time I've been asked the same question. That's what I would do. We have the necessary muscle to do that. We've done it historically all the time. The ANC has the courage to take on whatever comes its way, take it through the necessary course, and if anybody is found guilty, the necessary repercussions follow. I'm probably saying it for the 100th time.
Why do you think the ANC is not doing what many people regard as a commonsensical and logical approach to what needs to be done?
I have no idea. I do know, however, that there are steps afoot to ensure that there is a commission in place to investigate this, but that is the legal aspect of the matters that we're talking about. I would have wanted the ANC to have taken the first step. And perhaps they're still preparing those papers, I don't know. But I would like to find that my organization is on the good side of history when we are all judged.
What would Lindiwe Sisulu do to restore the faith of South Africans in the ANC and a brighter future for our country?
Oh, there are many things. When I was asked that question by a journalist, I sat down and decided that I would write something that I called my manifesto. And I based myself on what it is that the ANC stands for. And the ANC stands on the Freedom Charter, and a very people-centered organization it was, and we went round and collected what people would have wanted to see of us. And it is amazing that it still has resonance today. What we would need to do is make sure that we can stick to the promise of what we made in 1955, and make sure we stick to the promise of a better life in 1994. Now, essentially for me, there are several things I could count off the top of my head. I would like to see that education is free to the extent that it is possible for the government to provide that. Now, the Constitution has a very good term that it uses. It uses it on housing, and it talks about a gradual realization of a right. I would want a gradual realization of a full right to free education for all. I would put a proviso to that would ensure that the people who benefit from free education give something back to the country. And the mechanism would differ from time to time, but I would make sure that there is a responsibility that the students give back the free education that is given to them. I would want to make sure that the free healthcare that we've been working on does become a reality. I'd like to make sure that we provide people with houses and provide them with opportunities to have houses. I'd like us to grow the economy. I'd like us to create a political environment that will bring investors back, so that as we grow the economy, we're able to grow jobs. That is absolutely essential. And I would like to make sure that we find a way of taking the youth and putting them in some kind of useful occupation. When I was in defense, I came up with an idea of drawing the youth into the defense, not to train them in defense, but to provide them with some kind of skill. It didn't quite work out. It took a long time to put together. But I do know that we have a number of attempts in government, EPWP. In housing, we have youth brigades. If these were made mandatory for every department, we would draw from the youth a great deal of people, and we would be able to impart some skills. I could go on and on about what it is that I'd like us to do. I would make sure that we are as productive in agriculture as we've just been. We've had a very good, productive agricultural year. And I would like to make sure that we can get our people back to, putting the land to productive use. I'd like to make sure that in the inner city or within the urban areas, all vacant land can be turned over to human settlements, so that we can build housing for people with low income. Should I go on?
No, I can just stop there, please, if you don't mind, Mr. Lastly, before I let you go, at the moment, there's no less than 7 people vying for this position. The strength of the Zuma campaign, pre-Polokwane, of course, was in the fact that the disparate group of people buried their differences and decided to, rally behind one name. A lot of people are saying it makes perfect sense for you to go on the ticket of Cyril Ramaphosa as a deputy president.
Yes. You know what my answer is to that? That we are still such a patriarchal society. It seems so natural for a woman to be a deputy, doesn't it?
Well, they're saying,
yes,
on the strength of an ANC tradition that says the deputy must become the president.
Oh, you're basing it on that tradition. Okay. All right. But nonetheless, it just comes very naturally to South Africans to say, no, if it's a woman will become the deputy. No, I'm standing on my own because I have been in the ANC all my life, not as anybody's deputy, in my own right, determined that I'll free my people. And I'd like to continue performing that role if the organization requires me to do that. So I'll stand on my own, and if I make it, it would be, I think, an opportunity for us as women to ensure that we deal with the issue of patriarchy and ensure that we create an environment where our children are protected and all of those things that women are sensitive to, particularly. But if I don't make it, I will support Comrade Cyril to the hilt, or any other person who makes it. I think that the fact that we have so many people vying for this position just shows just how mature the ANC has become. We have matured in our time, that so many people feel that they would be able to occupy that position.
Ms. Lindiwe, thank you very much for coming.
My pleasure. Only my pleasure.
Lindiwe Sisulu, Human Settlements Minister and ANC Presidential Candidate, shall I call her.